Hello and welcome to a voiceover. This is the River Falls Road Race, Day 5 of the Hincapie Racing Series. I race with Velocious Sport. You can find us at velocioussport.com. We've got some other sponsors: National Cycling Center, Ride for Robbie Memory Pilot, Crumley Roberts, Ken's Bike Shop, A Volo, Par Cycles. If you need any coaching or some lawyering from Crumley Roberts, come check us out. We'll go ahead and get started with the video here. It was raining, about 50 degrees, so the turnout was a little less than the rest of the races in the series, which we've usually been seeing about 110 to 130 guys, which is awesome for racing in the southeast. We start off going downhill. Few corners, but nothing too crazy. Everybody was taking it cautiously because it's raining. The course was a little bit rough. There were a few potholes here and there. It's kind of hard to see them when you're in a group this big. I started moving up as quickly as I could just to get to the front. Usually in the rain, front's a little safer. You come to this right-hand corner, not too bad. Another right-hander, and then there's a pretty sharp left-hander. First few laps, we took it pretty fine, and the longer we went, the faster we took it. We come a few hills, and then the end has a final kicker of each lap, 9 laps. So there's a good 1.5-mile climb at the end, which is going to be a deciding factor in any race. Strings out from the beginning. I think everybody's racing pretty hard, so not too bad. Come through some nice open fields. There's no yellow line rule. We have kind of a rolling enclosure. What they did was they directed traffic in one direction, so it was reasonably safe to go across the yellow line, and it wasn't enforced, so people did it. Not that they haven't been doing it for the rest of the series, but you just weren't yelled at for it this time. A few corners here and there. There was a part on the course where a fire truck had just parked in the left lane. You could see it because it's a fire truck and it had its lights on, but it was still an obstacle. So I'm moving to the front here, trying to get into a little bit better position, respond to any moves that might go in the beginning. I like racing kind of towards the front anyway. It costs a little bit more energy, but I found it's usually a little safer, and you can tell if someone goes up the road. One of the side effects being at the front is sometimes you follow moves that you didn't realize were moves until you look back and you see you're off the front. That didn't happen to me this time. Instead, I attacked twice in the first lap, which I highly don't advise unless you can pull it together to get back in the group. You'll see one of these attacks here. I attacked and brought 2 guys with me. Here we go. One of the Milligan guys and I think a CS Velo, and neither one of them really did much pulling. We didn't get much of a gap anyway, so we were pretty quickly brought back. It's kind of an uphill gradient here, and everybody had already done a good effort, so it seemed like a pretty good place to go. Way too early, but testing the legs out early into the race can help you see how the rest of the race is going to go. Alright, we'll shortly look back and get caught. This is one of the corners that had a big puddle right there, and there was a loss of pavement, so it was just a pretty gnarly inside line. Wasn't that bad of a corner. Luckily we weren't going too fast into it. This is my teammate CJ here on the Orbea. Some guys that finished at the beginning of the races were finishing really strong right in the front there in that group, first lap. Here's another little attack. Really just following surges. I think the group's on us right now. This is one of the last corners that we come through before you get to the hill. I decided to attack right here on my own. I made it solo for a little bit, but we're coming into the hill so fast. Unless everybody sits up, there's no way I'm going to stay away. So this was really a wasted attack. The group's on me immediately, and then the pace also kicks up pretty much immediately. They're from pretty fast climbers, and this is kind of a short hill, so it just hurts. You can see that we're holding a pretty good pace, even starting out on this hill, about 400 watts, and it'll kick up to about 5 to 600 for the minute or so we're on the hill. I've obviously sped it up. Alright, you get to the top of the hill, and then you start the descent again into the next lap. So we did 9 laps. They're pretty technical, and they seem to go by pretty fast. I think they're around 15 minutes long, 10 to 15 minutes. So it was a pretty exciting race, but very short. I think 2.5 hours for the total. I ended up getting a flat on the second lap. I've been flatting a lot of tires lately. I'm running Gatorskin tubulars, so they're known to be a pretty robust tire, and I have not had great luck with them. In this race, I had sealant in a Gatorskin tubular, and my rear tire went flat. Might have just hit a pothole hard, but I had to stop. You'll see it at the end here. I stopped and just waited, and they had to send a car around. There was no sweeper car, so no wheel truck, no way to get back into the race. So I just watched the guys go by one time. I think I waited half an hour for someone to pick me up, and then got back to the finish line, and they let me keep riding. So I rode with one of my teammates. He hadn't been lapped. He'd just fallen off, and we just kept him from being lapped. So we just rode around at kind of tempo to keep Nico from being lapped, and had a good day, considering it was raining so hard. You see Ruben unclipping. Usually that's not a good sign if someone's unclipping mid-corner. I don't feel like it was slick enough to do that, but it did feel like we were going pretty quickly around those corners. Here I am stopping, rear flat tire. I waited with the firemen. They called me a ride, but it took a long time. Next time I might even just throw on my training wheels and a saddlebag, because it would have taken less time to get to the finish. But overall, it was a pretty exciting race. I like the rolling enclosure, but if we could have a sweeper car, that would have made my experience quite a bit better. Anyway, thank you for listening to the video. See you out there.